Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. It's Dr. Phil here, and this is gonna be a long one. That's what she said. Ba-da-da-ba-dum-bum-bum. Okay, I've got hundreds and hundreds of fossils at the moment, and I've got to do something about them. So I'm just getting all of my materials together as I talk to you. I've just got a paintbrush and some tweezers, and it sounds like play school, doesn't it? Come on, grab the things. Well done. I've got the tweezers and the paintbrush. And we're going to do arts and crafts, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, whoever else watches these shows. Woohoo! I've also brought chocolate, I've got an energy drink, I've got all of the supplies that are necessary for a good, talky thing. Crunch on, as you can see, when you've got the chocolate, it makes the timbre of your voice just so much better. Delicious. And when you've got a drink, that also helps with your voice because there's no distracting sounds or anything. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, enough mucking around. I'm just going to show you my wine glass. Because sadly, it don't contain no wine. As I've gotten older, I've either not needed it, required it, or I've just had more responsible things to do with my day. So I can afford to drink less and less, basically. So I've used my wine glass for other reasons. And this is one of them. Other purposes anyway. Other porpoises. Whoop. Hopefully that hasn't destroyed it. Anyway. You saw the wine glass for long enough. Basically that's just got some glue in it. And some water. I'm mixing it up now in this beautiful wine glass. I'm just going to stick it over there. Right. So that's that done. Ka-chunk. Now, as you can see, I've just got a plethora of fossils. Well, you can see one of them. This is like a portion of a plethora, obviously. Now, you might be surprised to know there's something wrong with it. So, what I'll be doing is I'll be just conserving some of the fossils. This one is one of those ones which I think actually responds well to super glue. I mean, responds well to super glue in all aspects. Some of them get a bit too dark with the super glue. This one, basically what happens when you attach a bit of super glue, it brings out the features rather than masks them with darkness. Let me have a look. Just a quick look at what's going to happen here. Yeah, I think I am going to do that. I'm just going to give it a quick splat of super glue all the way down the face. See what we get. Beautiful. Whoop, too far. That's what she said. So hopefully that will give us a nice something. I think I can see it. Yep, I can see a leaf coming out, which is good. It's probably a Glossopteris, just like every other thing that's in here. Got some exciting news. One of these fossils, I do believe, actually is not a Glossopteris. Actually, I don't think this one is either. Oh, look at that. I at one point said I had a ginkgo. It was clearly a fern later on. But this time around, that might be a ginkgo, but it's so faint you would never know. Trying to figure out what that is coming out. I reckon it's probably a fern. Potentially something trilobed. Yeah. All very interesting, but we've got to keep going because I've got a lot of stuff to do. So I'll give you the exciting news. How about that? So whilst I'm putting this away here in the conservatorium, I'll drag out the other fossil, which is as exciting, if not more. You'll be glad to know that the fossil didn't break apart any further. Right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drag this out. Now, I know it just looks like all the other rocks, except it might be a bit darker, yay whoop-de-doo, but I'll show you something about it. In it goes to the frame. Beautiful. Right. So we have the usual list of suspects when we're talking about fossils. We've got clearly what looks like a Glossopteris leaf there. We've got clearly what looks like a Glossopteris leaf there. We have what looks like a bunch of stem material here, which is probably Glossopteris as well. Now, just so that you know, if you see something that looks essentially like a starfish, then that's the stem pointing at you. Got Glossopteris leaf there. We've got Glossopteris leaf there. We've got Glossopteris leaf there. Now, here's the interesting thing. It's probably a leaf, but it might not be. Moving over to this side. Have a look at this structure here. I don't know what it is. It certainly is very weird shape for a leaf. Just here. Not saying that it's not a leaf. But a leaf usually has got a particular structure to its venation, and that does not have that structure. What I'm seeing here is I'm seeing essentially like a spine-like thing with some limbs radiating outwards. Now, I could be completely wrong about this, but that looks like an animal to me. And not only does it look like an animal, it looks like a really, really early animal. And I'm pretty certain they came around before you had angiosperms and gymnosperms. So I'm probably wrong. This is probably an insect, if it is an animal, in any way, shape or form. But the point is, I've got something that's not a plant. Or at least something that's not a Glossopteris. Yeah, but this is looking very promising. It's sitting in amongst all the plants. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to very carefully try and conserve this, because this is falling apart. And if you look over this direction, you might actually see another version of it. We'll have a quick look over here. I'm going to zoom right into it, see if we can get something really cool. So it's just there. So what is that? Just here. I'm not entirely certain what that is. Once again, could be a leaf, but it's just not looking the same as all the other leaves that I've had. Leaves do have a specific structure. If you've got a monocot, for example, monocot is actually short for monocotyledon, in case you're interested. And monocotyledon is an embryonic leaf. So monocotyledon, one embryonic leaf, dicot, two embryonic leaves. Who figured that one out? I have no idea, because there are plenty of things which actually separate monocots and dicots. Why you would use embryonic leaves is beyond me. But they have, and they've done it. So if you have a monocot, you have essentially parallel venation in the leaves, and that's exactly as it sounds, as it is on the tin. I'm looking around to see if I can find anything with parallel venation. I might have to draw it. So basically, think of a blade of grass. The veins go basically parallel to each other. A dicot, on the other hand, that's your typical tree. Most of your flowering plants are also dicots. But think about that as your standard leaf. If you were a 5-year-old and you were going to draw it, you know how you've got that vein going down the middle and a few lines radiating outwards? That's a dicot. There's a few other notable differences, but that's usually what you're going to see. And there are a few very interesting variations on that, like if you ever run into cladodes and phyllodes. If you've ever seen a she oak, I'm pretty certain they're starting to take over the world now. You see a she oak, it's a casuarina. Those things have got something called cladode, and melaleucas in Australia, or paperbarks, they actually don't have leaves. They have phyllodes, and there's a very, very convoluted way of explaining what all of those things are. I'm not going to go into it. It's not the scope of this particular video. I'm just sitting here painting fossils. So let's have a look here. What we'll try and do is we'll test a little bit to the side. As a matter of fact, what we need to do is clean it down a bit. And very gently clean it down, because this thing, I can see there are some cracks on it already, and I'm seeing it might be my only animal fossil. I certainly don't want to ruin it. I'm zooming back out again so you can see what I'm doing. No, I've got some UK singer in my head now, earworming me. Thank you. Justin something rides again. He does that on YouTube. Don't stop watching my YouTube to watch him. It just makes my situation worse. Ah dear. Alright, so I can see this is right on the fossil that could be an animal. You can see that there's actually cracks around it. I'm wondering whether I just take that section off. Hope for the best. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the dumbest idea I am going to try tonight. I've got a variety of sharp implements that are going to be accessories to my dumbest idea. I'm going to use that one. These are basically woodworking tools. They're also very good at excavating fossils, depending on what your goals are. I presume homicide is pretty good as well. I mean, they don't look particularly gentle, do they? That's the one I'm after. We've got those ones there, those ones there, and we got this bad boy right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to gently lever these off and pray that I'm not making a mistake here. So very gently. Looks like it's going to come off in one piece, which is good. Once it's off, I'm going to try and conserve it as a single piece. There it goes. Intriguing. We've got something underneath. Let's have a look what's underneath here. I'm talking about the underside, not what's underneath, but oh well. I have a feeling I'm going to run out of camera time. I haven't done very little. So let's have a look at this on this side. What do you reckon we got? Certainly is very intriguing, isn't it? I think we've got the basis of a body here. Probably just looking at a leaf, aren't we? Knowing our luck, but that's all right. Even if it turns out to be a leaf in the end. I have actually got into contact with some conservators of fossils, and actually our local government department, believe it or not. Essentially, I was drowning in fossils, and I'll try to sell some of these online. If you want to buy some, contact me. But basically, I said, I'm drowning in fossils here. Any scientifically important? So I sent a few photos away, and we'll find out if they are. Now, this gets curiouser and curiouser, doesn't it? Look at that. Let's get these little dots here. What are the little dots? It'd be too much to say that they're legs, aren't they? I've actually seen those dots before on plant fossils. I think that they're seed cases. So probably no joy there. But we're still pretending that this is actually an animal of some description. Look at it, it's segmented and everything. I mean, if we look at it in the right light, it could be a fish even. Yay! I don't think it's a fish. Just in case you're getting excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to very gently lever some more material off it because, you know, whilst your noose is around your neck, you may as well jump off the horse, as they say. We're certainly getting the dark colour, but I think my scratching is removing some of the detail. If there was a genuine fossil conservator around, I wonder what they would be thinking. Probably not much of me. That looks like a leaf. Yeah, I think it's a leaf. We're still, you know, theoretically holding on to the hope that this is an animal. But at least it's a different leaf. I mean animal. So what we'll do now is, having done the best we can, we'll just lightly douse it in this glue mixture. That will help to preserve it and also to bring some of the colours out. So, yeah. Very Henry Ford here. You have any colour you want, so long as it's black. I think we're doing all right with this. Be great if this was a Tully monster, which it's not, by the way. In case you don't know what a Tully monster is, you can Google it. There's a few good YouTube videos on what they are. But basically, Tully monsters are allegedly only endemic to certain areas in the United States. And I think that's silly, because we don't have that much of a fossil record. Let me point out also that it's a, I think it was part of the Burgess Shale Cambrian explosion kind of time. Burgess Shale is not in America, of course. But basically this guy found this particular fossil bed, and Tully monsters are everywhere. They're a weird shaped creature. And the fun never stops. So that's that one done. I'm going to leave it to dry, and then I'll do the other side. Let's have a look at the rest of the fossil though. Is there stuff that I should be levering? Is there stuff I should be conserving? Is there stuff I should be cleaning? Let's have a look. Well, this is getting very brittle and crumbly. I think I did the right thing by trying to conserve it, even if it doesn't end up being conserved. What have we got here? Let's just zoom in on that. Doesn't look like much at the moment, does it? Let's just give it a dab. What I'm doing is I'm just using the paintbrush to wick some of that moisture away. Should have had a cloth maybe. So here the paintbrushes aren't the best of the wicking tools available. I think the best wicking tool available is Wikipedia. Oh gosh, it's late at night and I'm a father, so you're in for a fun time. Okay, this is going off to dry as well. I'll tell you what it looks like, because this is, what do they call it? PVA, wood glue. So it dries clear. If you want any confirmation, our Tully monster is nearly dried now. We can start to see some of the features about it. You know what, I am semi-confident that it's at least not a plant leaf that I've seen before. Please don't be a Glossopteris. I can see some very I see some very Glossopteris-like features here. No, we're ignoring that. Definitely an animal. Okay. I'll just go. The woodworking tool just fell into my lap, which is arguably not a good idea. So let's zoom out and have a look at the rest of this. You can definitely see some structure when you look at it this way, can't you? So what I'm going to do is just very gently just wipe away some of this material. That stem. Yeah. So I've been doing this fossil thing for quite some time now. I'm starting to understand the way the rocks form around the fossils. And so I know that there's this, I'm not entirely certain what it is. It could be something called, they call mycorrhiza. Mycorrhiza is a fungus which grows up with the plant and it actually enables the plant to transfer nutrients from the soil to the plant. So it's very important in the ecosystem. As an aside, Australia has got very slow growing mycorrhiza, and so if we till our soils like most people do, you know, getting the plough in and turning up all the leaves and all that sort of stuff for the plants every time you plant a new crop, do that in Australia and you're going to ruin things for years. And also add to the burden of carbon in the atmosphere. Yeah, I know. If the soil suffers, it gives up all of its carbon. And how much of the earth is covered by soil? Especially the dry land, 100%. So you certainly don't want all of the soil in the world to be giving up all of its carbon. As a hint, some soils hold as much as 4%. In Chile, there are soils which hold ridiculous amounts of carbon. And there are also those black, basically peats, which coal is made from, which this kind of thing is made from. They're organic soils. In Australia, we call them organosols. And those bad boys, they're 100% carbon. But that, especially in Australia, that's the exception rather than the norm. Organic soils, they do exist in quantity elsewhere. Definitely not in Australia, though. Peat bogs, for example. Anywho, how are we going with this? I'm going to use the zoom feature because it's quite handy. Yeah, that's a piece of stem for sure. Alright, well, we'll give it a light dusting of material and we'll see what we got. You get to see it all probably in speed or something, I don't know, or I might just leave it so that you can have it all in its boring slowness. Boring slowness. I think I have just guaranteed that I'm going to be speeding up the footage. I can't even say slowness. It's some slowness on my part. There are a few nice features coming through. There's a contrasting leaf, so you've got your standard Glossopteris, which I can't get away from. And then there are other leaves which are contrasting against that, which is kind of cool. Pink Glossopteris were one of the first tracheophytes out there. I've currently got a paintbrush. Someone else can go and Google that. A tracheophyte is basically a plant which has got an internal water transport system. If you've ever heard of xylem and phloem, that's what we're talking about. That leaf there is beautifully textured. After I've conserved this, I'm going to consider if I want to break it apart, because usually these things come in layers. Actually, I'll just conserve for the time being. I'll take the conservative approach. Looks like the beverage of choice for the Goon Show, if you don't know what that is. Brown milk, which is basically milk with whiskey in it. That is British. Only mildly true, as we probably all know around here, Spike Milligan was Australian. He was born in Woy Woy. Very famously would go around saying, I was born in Woy Woy. Does anyone come from Woy Woy? Some brave soul might even put their hand up and he'd just go, why? Why would you live in Woy Woy? I'm not sure I channel Spike Milligan particularly well. And if you're under, what, 90? You probably haven't heard of him. Yeah, that shadow looks suspicious. I think it's a bit of stem. But we need to keep some stem around. Even though it looks boring, it's essentially a stick. We do need to keep it around. Have a look at it, because that's how you tell the difference between a monocot and a dicot. Because by the time a plant grows to its full height, it might not be considered embryonic anymore. You never know. So the embryonic leaf classification doesn't work out anymore. And quite frankly, I say that is the fault of whoever did it. Pick something that happens as an adult. Fibrous root system, taproot, that kind of thing. I am getting ridiculously tired, ladies and gentlemen. Once I've done this, I'm probably going to shut things down, because, wow, I'm so tired. But I suppose this is my quota of YouTube things. I should have done it, million, billion shorts. But I had a big day today, so I couldn't just do all the things I wanted. Couldn't even do half the things I wanted. So I wonder if this is going to be in time lapse for you or not. It doesn't matter, I suppose. How long have I got? I've gone for 28 minutes, just rambling on about nothing really. I'll tell you, good boy. Please like me, YouTube. Please, sir, I want some more. If you know, that came from the movie Oliver, or the play Oliver. And the guy who Oliver was saying, I want some more to, the orphanage manager, was played by Harry Seacombe, another of the Goons. Well, not all of the... I didn't see a school play in which Harry Seacombe hurriedly went down to. But in one of the more popular versions of Oliver, yes. He had a beautiful, I'm going to call it tenor voice. It was rather high. Quite whiny and irritating, really. That's what you need for radio, as they say. Or they don't say. I'm going to lean over here and see if I can just dab more on. Did someone say moron? There we go. If you saw one of my time lapse, this is exactly what I was doing. Yeah, now I've gotten a bit more experience now. I can see some graininess just here. Now that graininess is well, grainy. But it's also indicative of roots. So I think we're kind of on the soil surface and sort of a little bit under as well. So there's a few leaves which have fallen down, and there's a few roots sitting around. There's a few bits of stem. There's a few twigs and whatnot. And there are a few roots being laid down with the mycorrhizal fungi, I think, forming a halo around, which looks kind of like a starfish with a halo on it, I suppose. So that's that. Okay, so what I would admonish you people to do is explain to the YouTube gods that I've been there. I think you do that in the form of liking and subscribing. Don't do it for my sake. Well, do it for my sake, yeah, but you don't have to if you don't want to, basically. I'm not your mum, but if you like this video, like and subscribe. There we go, we're nearly done. And then I'll turn off ye olde camera. No, that's looking quite nice from this angle anyway. I might have to give a few little zhushes over the top. Okay, I'll move that over to the drying area, and very quickly before we go, I'll show you a few of the other things that we've got sitting around, because I've got so many fossils that I've been conserving. I've got so much to do. This is going over to dry. Okay, at some other time, I will crack that one open and we'll see what that one is, because there's an awful lot going on with it as we speak. Let's go and have a look over here. Which one was I going to show you? I've got a few really good ones. I'll do, is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. I think this is another Glossoptera, but you'll get to see a nice version of it. So I've got this fossil here, and you can see that the stems, and what I have now started to recognise as part of the root system, and I might actually just conserve the top of it. This fossil here, may as well. Right, let's go. That's going much faster, so yeah, good choice, Phil. Fossil fuel tonight. I did do some opal stuff, but it's getting late at night and I didn't want to annoy the neighbours. I was going to do some wire. I had a lot of stuff. I was going to do wire wrapping. It was going to be a whole production, but in the end, fatigue wins. That's Glossoptera leaf that I'm just painting over now. This is probably a stem. It's got a bit of organic matter actually still attached to it, which is pretty cool. 300 million year old organic matter, if I do know my sums correctly. I think that this is a Carboniferous 300 million year old fossil, but I could be wrong on so many levels. It might not be Carboniferous. Carboniferous might not be 300 million years old. There's a lot of 180 million, but I think that's Triassic. Surely that's Triassic. I'll get my charts and diagrams out later. Anyway, nearly got this done. Just go over the top here. All right. Now there's a nice imprint of, what is that imprint of? Is it a leaf? I think it is. Lovely. There's a few things that I can crack open too, and I think conserving the fossil layers actually helps with the cracking open process. Although I will have a chance to talk to a person who does fossil conserving on a more professional basis than me, so he might be able to give me some hints and tips on how to not destroy fossils. Well, you reckon I reckon it's all, you're doing it all wrong. Everything you've done ever is wrong. You've destroyed all of these fossils. You'll never get a Nobel Prize. What's the perform violent actions upon you, make you never talk again, and then I'll get the Peace Prize. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Right. So that's that done. I've conserved. Now I'm going to open it up so you can see what's inside. Yay! Look at that. Ooh. Ah. Ooh. I will get to conserving that. You can see that there is some organic matter in there. It's crossing over, I think. It's a equinoxenophyte. I think that's what they call it. Horsetail. So, kind of cool. You never know, when we put the magic fluid on there, something else might come up. I think that I'm a bit scared to put a huge amount on there, or put, just pure glue on, because I think that the glue will just be a bit beyond the pale, a bit too much. Now at least got to show you this one. There's plenty more where that came from. Got a whole room full of them. So big that I'm ashamed to show you my room. So I'm not going to pan around so you can see it. That's what I'm saying. Can you think up for some lame excuse as to why I'm not showing you the room? I'm too tired to do it. Now, done that. You know what? I am going to very gently lever up one part of it, because I can see. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. That's not what I was talking about. I can't find my... I am tired, aren't I? I am very, very, very tired. With emphasis on very tired. Right. What I'm going to do is I'm going to carefully lever up this piece. And hopefully I am not going to ruin everything. So let's have a go. Look at that, that was perfect. That was absolutely perfect. Have a look on the other side here too. I'll zoom in on that, because it's like a perfect cast. Look at that. Don't know what I can do with it, but it is a perfect cast. Check it. If I can see a node there, I could tell you that's a grass. I don't think I can't see a node, so I think so. I don't know what it is. It is interesting, however. Always good when something interesting happens. Alright. I'll just finish putting stuff on this. That was an almost perfect snare. Well done, Phil. Just yoke. There you go. I think if you conserve the fossils and give the face a little bit of love, then I think you can more easily get the layers off it. Another piece here. just very brittle. There we go. All right. I really am going this time around. Just when I get a bit obsessive about these, it's very hard to stop. I was sitting there assembling fossils that I'm never going to bother with, ever. And I just kept assembling them, That's going away. I will just do that quickly because that needs a bit of love. Now it's exposed to air, the clock is ticking, so I better do it. It's quite well framed. The artist who made this photo is very good. Quite surprised that the video has held out. Happy with that. Well, if you've actually hung around, thank you for sticking around. Probably a special type of person that, you know, A, collects rocks, or B, watches somebody paint rocks. He'll be telling someone, wife, mum, partners, friends, whatever else. No, he's not painting it with paint, he's painting it with glue. Oh yes, he's going to stick some stars on it. No, it's fossil conservation, it's very serious business. Yeah, sure, back to the asylum you go. I think there is an option to not talk. Meh. Life would be boring if we did that. Okay. Oh, look at that. There is a, that pattern will emerge later. I'll probably put it in the shorts after. Patterns can fool you, so you don't necessarily just assume that everything's going to go hunky-midori. It might go a little bit non-hunky Midori. Non-hunky, non-Midori. Not even hunky glass of water. Not even weenie glass of water. I'm really done now, aren't I? Okay, if you love this video, like and subscribe. I am going to go to sleep for like a million billion years. Oh boy, Dr. Phil out.